one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
About to say, John's not here. We'll have to start without him.
We'll get the kids home.
That's all right. Pass these down there, would you please? Hey, Don, there's some pictures of water at the cemetery. I understand we got the equivalent of 8 inches of rain and this ground is still frozen. I understand it has happened before. For your elucidation. Sandy, we have the minutes of the February 11th meeting. We offer them to public and council to review. There are no questions, additions, alterations. I entertain a motion to approve them.
Bill's right there.
I'm sorry?
Bill's right there.
Bills, yes, pass these back.
Oh,
Right here in the
Yeah.
streets, that's St. Connie, not Hill.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I must have been, had the stutter for reminding me the day before. Okay. Streets.
With that correction, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Misty moves to approve. Do I have a second?
I make a second. I second.
Rob seconds. Call the vote.
Aye.
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 Unanimous.
Sure.
Yeah.
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 All right, Sandy, could we have the city clerk's cash receipt report?
Total cash receipts for the month of February, $55,864.46.
Motion to approve.
I make a motion that we approve the
So moved. Misty already got it. Call the vote.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Reports from city employees, committee chairs, police committee is not here, the chair is not here. Go to streets. And from the streets,
No,
no, potholes in the streets.
nail by no.
Okay.
We're gonna have a meeting.
All right.
Okay. I got a question on the disbursements.
Okay.
On the disbursements under Menards, what was the $2,000?
That is for, God. No. It's for insulation in the, but I have my notes.
Oh, yeah.
Right. There we go. The 2,000 is for the insulation in the upstairs in the ambulance.
Okay, but why are we putting insulation in the upstairs?
Because we're heating it. We have been heating it for a number of years uninsulated.
And we wanted to, since more, we just wanted to cut down what we're reviewing.
Okay. That was in.
Well, Rob, would you like to present your report and your, then your motion to approve the bills?
Okay, yeah, and I don't have a finance report. I was not expecting to be here. I got kind of caught up with some stuff, so. But we had the one question. Any other questions on our submitted claims? The only other thing on here, the three like amounts right above the Menards is our workers' comp insurance. I can't speak either. So if you don't have any questions on that, I make a motion that we approve submitted claim.
I second.
And the second motion. Call the vote.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
John, anything from a very wet cemetery?
Just the waters in there. That's extending that report.
I can say I don't recall having seen that before.
I haven't either.
Shane says it has happened before.
I was gonna say, didn't it, when that one year that it flooded a lot? Yeah, like I said, I think it acted
I remember 4 years ago when it rained like in late April, early May, we had all that rain and everything flooded, and we didn't get water in there.
I think it was and everything. Get it fixed? I mean, what? I mean, I'm just looking to see if there's culverts or anything, like you said.
Mike, can you offer us some light on this?
It's only, this only happens when the ground's froze, because the water can't go down, it's not getting across, you know, it just doesn't, it's like a big swimming pool. You know,
Don't we have a drop box by the road?
No.
No.
There's
There's a
one,
drain in this mausoleum.
there's one out by the mausoleum, that's the only one out there.
Well, it's sitting in a ditch, so we're gonna.
Yeah, and that's, then, you know, that's the lowest area, with, once the ground thaws enough, it'll eventually, you know, it's gonna go away, but it's just, right now with the snow, it's, the water's not running good, and the ground frozen, has nowhere for that water to go.
It was to the point yesterday, it looked like it could wash out those roads. I mean, the way it was pouring over the roads. And the road's pretty soft down there anyway, but.
Did you see where it was coming from? Was it
Yeah,
coming
it's
from the
coming from that
fairgrounds?
field, it's coming from that
The
field,
old fairground there?
north of the cemetery.
North, yeah. That's the old, we used to have a racetrack out there.
It's running across that road and down, but then it just sits in pools, so it gets high enough it can go over the roads.
Your roads are higher than the ground around,
Yeah.
so they act like little dams.
Parks, Misty?
Nothing makes running.
And how about the water department, John?
Other than that, we had a committee meeting. I don't remember the date, that's terrible.
The 28th.
28th, okay. And then, we just went over the ordinance, and then I contacted him, just one or two things that we wanted to change. Actually, there was only one thing that got changed in the ordinance.
Are we okay on the billing for tonight, or is that gonna carry, will that need to carry over the water billing procedures?
Well, they've got some that are already flagged. Okay, I guess the ones that are flagged are going to be shut off. Okay, so those that are already flagged, unless they come up with one, they're going to be shut off. The only thing is that, okay, we've got this one that's shut off and vacant, that's number 220. It's 397.02. Do we, I mean, isn't that maybe to require a lien put on that one? because it's $397. So I think the lien needs to go on that one. The rest of them, okay, I'm not sure about, it's vacant, this number 284. It's got a bill of $152.89.
2 months.
Exactly. So, but it's vacant now. So, do you know if they own that? It's vacant, what's 284?
Pass on.
Pass on that.
Gonna pass on the.
That's the dollar shop that she's moved.
She's moved?
She moved the line, but it's owned by,
Okay. So, does the $152 warrant a lien?
Plus it's $50, isn't it?
To file a lien, but, you know, if it's paid, you get
You recover that. Yeah. I guess that's, you know,
Would it make sense to give the owner a call prior to placing the lien?
there you go. There you go. I thought they were gonna pay the full thing. When they paid theirs.
I would give them a courtesy call and then we could, I guess then we'd have no choice.
okay, shut off, okay, then maybe we should send them just a letter stating that, you know, this is a payment and we'll have to file a lien and you'll be responsible for all recording fees and turn on and everything else. So this one is the letter. Same way with number 565. If it's inactive, it's shut off. It's $195.33. What's the 565?
It's shut off, and she told me she was gonna come in and pay it, she never did.
So it's shut off, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, I wonder if we should just file a lien amendment.
Should we write letters before we do the lien? Because I have a feeling they might come in if we write them a letter.
Okay. Well, then on all these that I mentioned about having a lien, let's write them a letter
Okay.
and give them 2 weeks. Not,
Okay.
so that one, then the 588, that would be another lien. I mean, a letter. And that's all that was the only thing that I saw.
Well, we don't know for sure where he is.
Well, 588 was the contract for deed.
Well, those are already flagged, so those are already flagged, so put it down. But it seems like anything that's overdue, quote unquote, has already been flagged for shut off.
Where is that 588, Shane?
588 was a contract for deed, and once we realized that the person that had the contract had moved, we contacted the person that had sold a contract for deed, and he talked to Barb, and then he called me, and he said that he had talked to his attorney, and when he got it back, he asked for a title search or whatever. There were no liens on it, so he assumes that since no lien was filed when the other person had it on contract for deed, he is not responsible.
Bruce?
That's not true. I mean, that wouldn't
Okay.
be the case.
So you can send him a letter and,
Tell him he's inaccurate or his attorney needs to contact our attorney.
Yeah, we can do that.
You know him.
okay?
I mean, I'm not sure what you're saying, but, you know, that's what he's telling you.
So I'd say, you know, the ones that are already marked flags are gonna be shut off anyway, so. But those were the only ones that I saw that seemed, yeah. And if we shut them off, they're vacant, we need to put a lien on it so that it eventually, so that when we lose in there, at least can recover some of our money, so that's it. Do you want me to reiterate the numbers that are?
Do you have that, Sandy? All the,
It's one of those.
I tried to get them all.
Mhm.
I think we've got it. Okay. Anything else from the water department? Are we ready or are we not ready on the water billing procedures later on? Yeah. We're ready, okay.
I think so.
Anything from the police chief? Superintendent of Public Works, Mr. Milroy.
Not unless the agenda calls for it.
Mike?
I guess the other thing I'll say is the streets have taken a beating again this year with the freezing and thawing. So everybody has that in their mind that we're probably gonna have a lot of street work this year that we'll need to do.
See a lot of alligator along the shoulders.
A lot of potholes, it just, when the weather gets like this and it doesn't stay frozen, it's just that constant, you know, up and down, it just really is very hard on them. So I just want everybody to be aware that we'll probably have a lot of potholes. Probably gonna be a lot of, we're gonna probably have to come up with some money to work on them.
That'll mean a lot of drainage work. All right, are we okay on the sewer claims then? And the delinquent water bills, we'll take care of that. Okay, because we'll do that policy, so we don't need to have any motions for that.
So what?
For the water bills at this point. And we're okay on the claims, because we paid them. So that takes care of the, everything down to unfinished business, right? Bruce, anything from you?
No.
On the subject of TIF this evening, I put that on there in case there was, I'm sorry, Rob?
Could we possibly, we're gonna move up energy,
Oh, yeah, that'll be on the,
that is on the unfinished.
that is unfinished business, right? I was thinking it was new.
Yeah.
Thank you, that's fine.
So you need to make a motion on that to change the agenda?
No, we will change the order.
Yeah, I'll just move it.
That requires me.
I think it requires a motion, yeah, I think so.
I do have a motion to move the aggregation.
I make a motion that we move
Second,
energy aggregation.
by acclamation.
Aye.
Aye.
Move the energy aggregation to the top as much as Kevin has already been here since early afternoon. That's a long way to go in the fall. Now, Mr. Ritter.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank the council for the opportunity for Integris to serve the city of Toulon residents that want to participate in the aggregation program. And thank you, Teresa, for all the work with Ameren to get things going. We have the program ready to start. We had as the mayor mentioned, I was here this afternoon for the public hearings. The last piece of the puzzle is this, the plan of operation and governance, and if that is approved this evening, we can move forward with the opt-out program, and what that means is that letters will go out to all the eligible residents and small businesses in the city, inviting them to participate. If you want to participate, it's an opt-out program, so you do nothing to participate. If you want out, you can call a toll-free number. There will also be a postcard with the letters that you can send in if you wanted out of the program. The savings for residents is about 17% on the electric supply part of the Ameren bill. You still get a single Ameren bill. You still call Ameren if you have service issues or to establish service or if you're canceling service. And for the small businesses, it's about 27% savings, just the difference in rates compared to where Ameren's rates are. So you can save the residents some money on their Ameren bills for those that want to participate. And the last step is the plan of operation and governance, and if that's approved, we'll start the mailing shortly here. And then I'd like to come back to council in a couple months and provide an update as far as how many people are participating and what the savings have been over the first month or two. If there are any questions about it and how it works, that was kind of the short and sweet version. The plan itself is the city's document on, basically covers what is aggregation, that the referendum was passed to allow the city to enter into an aggregation program, what the duties of the city are, which have been fulfilled, the duties of the supplier, in this case Integris, to send the letters and manage the program and keep everyone's data confidential. The opt-out process, what happens if you move within the city, what happens if you move out of the city, and then things like billing. And again, it's single billed through Ameren. If you need to contact for any outages or anything like that, still Ameren, their telephone numbers in this document.
So the next step, I understand, would be for us to make a motion to approve the plan of operation. Is that correct?
That's right.
Have any comment on this? We had 2 meetings, one at 3, one at 5, or not too well attended. At least we have a 9 and Teresa here. Have any questions for Kevin? So we entertain a motion to approve the plan of operation.
Did you get a chance to look?
Mhm.
It's just a boiler.
Mhm.
I'll make a motion for the plan of operation.
Misty moves to approve the plan of operation. And 20 seconds. Call the vote.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That is approved. Thank you very much. Thanks, Kevin. And now we move back up to the top. TIF, we put TIF on the agenda tonight in as much as it is March. And, if there are any projects that the city wants to get started on last year's TIF funds, or even this year's, Mike and Shannon are going to need to be aware of that when the weather breaks so they can get started. So if there's anything that you want done, we need to take some sort of action, or we can defer it down, kick the can down the road. At this point, I wouldn't say it's irrelevant, but I would say it's more in your hands, what it is you folks want to do. We've talked about a number of things in the last 2 years. We've talked about the drainage project at the library, which remains unfinished. We have a little unfinished work up at the elevator, also having to do with drainage, which we agreed to do with Rumbles. We have a project down on Union Street to extend the sewer north on Union Street, which has already had some engineering work done. We have Veterans Parkway, which we've all talked about for at least since I can remember 1985, previous term. And especially this time of year becomes very obvious in its urgency to anyone who uses Main Street and Veterans Parkway with the spring melt and the subsequent ice sheets behind businesses. Is there anything else we've missed out on, Shane, that we have talked about?
We originally talked about a turnaround or a cul-de-sac at the end of Turner where Kyle Kurtz lives and shutting that road off. We've talked about Prairie Street in Whitaker where Teresa Mills lives, about trying to get rid of that real steep hill right there.
That's a problem for the farmers and the firemen as well.
We've talked about Miller and Commercial right over here. We still have the old tracks that are in the road when you come up over this that need to be taken out, rectified. And of course, the parkway you talked about, sewer on the 6 mile, the elevator which you talked about, sidewalks at the library, is the list that I show.
Well, Shane, you and I have discussed this as well, but I think you also mentioned to me that the old railroad right-of-way, as well as Veterans Parkway, both of those projects would yield a fair amount of fill, a fair amount of material has to be taken out.
Right.
That material would be ideally suited for the Prairie Street project there at Whitaker,
Right.
because you're going to need a large amount of fill on that one to raise the street up. And I think Shane had also pointed out at one time that in doing that project, he could also plumb in sanitary sewer, which could eventually go into the T there south of the high school. So I mean, there's some birds that can be hit with the same stone on a couple of these projects. Of course, most of these projects that Shane has talked about, we've mentioned, our infrastructure, they fit the goal. And of course, one of the things that we have to keep in mind is that when the city employees do a project for the city, which involves TIF funds, it is tax money, but it's tax money which is funding the city workers through another channel. In other words, when Mike or Shane is working on this project or another city employee, they're being in effect paid through the TIF. That takes them off the general fund or the water fund, which helps those funds look better at the end of the year. So it's funding city operations, things that we should do, which are in concert with the TIF plan. So I mean, that's another way to look at it as well. But I guess it's really up to you folks, and I toss it open to any discussion, any suggestions that any of you would have. I think you might keep in mind that we should be expecting about 110 to 113 this year, which would mean the total funds available between today and say December, around $185,000 or $90,000. If you did something, for example, with Veterans Parkway, it would give you a back door in as much as you would have to do some improvements on the park side of Veterans Parkway, since it abuts the street, so you'd be able to get some things done on that side of the street that you wanted to do. So every time you do one of these projects, when you tear up a sidewalk or a street to put in a sewer line, you've got to replace what was there before. So you're getting, again, a new street or a new sidewalk in the process of getting a sewer repaired. So I mean, the projects kind of work hand in glove. Anytime you're doing a public works project, you end up getting a lot of bang for your buck, especially since all the money stays right here in town. And even if we use local contractors to do some digging, the money stays right here in town. So if you're looking at increasing what's good for the city, I mean, we want to see people move into town. We know that improving our sewer system helps increase property value, so that's really in concert with TIF. Or making the town look better or drain better. though we can't use it at the cemetery. Things we cannot use the TIF for are things that are not listed in the plan. For example, you can't use it for police or public safety. You can't use it specifically for recreation, that's not part of the plan. But you can use it pretty much anytime you have water moving, the door is wide open. If you can find some way to spend it on moving water, you won't have any problem.
I feel like we have some good projects to talk about that just kind of got presented to us. And I know we're only missing one, but it'd be nice if we kind of maybe could table this and talk about it with everybody here, and unless some other people have some questions. I mean, there's a lot that we can think about right now with just the projects that you gave us.
There's little ones and there's big ones.
Well, okay, I would suggest that if the streets and water and sewer want, we need to have a priority list and exactly what it is. You telling me that they need Prairie Street, right now tonight, that's not going through my head, okay? I want something in writing, say, and the priority, and we need to see it beforehand. I think you need a priority list, because they may have a priority that is definitely more than what we need,
Can I say something?
Sure. You bet.
And in a way, as in priority, and I'm gonna speak as a business person instead of a council member, but, Veterans Parkway, we have fought that for years and years and years. And yesterday, you talked about the cemetery, I had water running right into my back door, clear into the kitchen, because it just comes right in. And that's the first time, I've been there for 21 years uptown, and that's the first time that's ever done that. But I know we've had a lot of thawing, and a lot of freezing, and a lot of thawing, and the snow just gets, built up. But every business back there, starting with John DeWitt's and Culver's and us and the bar, the grocery store, right on down, we all put up with all the ice, and we're just very, very fortunate nobody has fallen. And there's nothing you can do because there is, no sun gets back there, so once that ice gets there, but it is just built up and the streets are horrible. You can walk back there now and there's big gouges, there's ditches right in the alley between the two buildings. I told Mike tonight, it is sunk, probably. There's places that ground is just sunk. And just so nothing caves in, whatever, I saw that thing on sinkholes the other night, and I just keep thinking, the buildings are gonna fall in, But I mean, that to me, would be that alleyway, and then maybe that would be a start to get started on our park. If we get something started there, and eventually just...
I've been aware of that problem for 28 years, and it hasn't gotten any better.
No.
I believe when I first started a couple of years, that was one of the ones, and Donna talked about priority lists. I'm not sure where it would sit, but I would think that would be a little higher up. We've talked about that for a while.
Because it affects so many businesses. There's a lot, I'm sure I could go get Chad, I could get Ray Wong, I could get all of us up here, to say that. And I'm surprised that they have not come to meetings and complained. Because they do complain. They just don't come up here.
Shane?
Just for the tidbit of history, with the exception of the elevator and the library, the other items that were mentioned by me tonight were all part of the original TIF program. And if we would go back and look at when we submitted for TIF, these items were the ones that were listed by the council that established the TIF. And they've never progressed or nothing, and so they've just been there forever. But the only issue on Veterans Parkway, point of order, is that is a public/private effort. So, you know, you would have to involve each individual business because there is a 20-foot strip there that is not owned by the city. You know, so we probably take tip requests from them along with the city and everything, because we do not own clear to the building. But we do have the center alley, and we do have a lot of drainage problems there. Connie, you're absolutely right. But there is some private properties, just so people are aware of that.
Well, it's not anything that's new. I guess when you talk about priorities, someone stopped me the other day and they said, well, look, the first priority is water and sewer. And they're kind of right, because when I researched our water department, I found that, I think it was 1906, we had 6 or 8 people died that year from, somebody helped me out, either typhoid or typhus. I guess typhoid is the one you get from bad water, is that correct? Not typhus, but typhoid. Help me out. Anyway, 6 or 8 people in Toulon had died in 06 or 08. And so there was a big hue and cry. And people said, well, what are we going to do about it? They said, well, let's put up a water tower. Let's sink a well, and we'll have a water system. And that's when our water system was actually begun, to provide clean water for the citizens of the community, and citizens of Toulon. And up till that time, the town had existed for some 70 years or so, and it had amounted to basically sprinkling water on the dirt streets to keep the dust down. We didn't have a big city budget. There wasn't a lot going on. The city didn't have a lot of things to concern itself with, and this water system was a big thing. And we created our water department, and if you look in the ordinances, that is why, to this day, the water department stands on its own. That we can only charge for water and sewer to the extent that those water and sewer bills pay for the operation of our fresh water system and our sewage system. So I guess that's your first priority. The first priority of the city is your water and sewer system. What's your next one? I guess, you know, public safety or streets and alleys and sidewalks. What we can then do to help people move about town, and then you go down from there, and toward the bottom of the list, I don't know, maybe you'd be talking about trash cans and some other things that we'd like to do. So I guess we have some priorities which are mandated upon us, not only by the state of Illinois, but by common usage. And we do have problems with our water system. It is old. It's 105 years old now, the oldest parts of it. And we go around town on a regular basis patching our water mains up. And I think we started back in the 80s, and Shane looped all the water systems together. We used to have water pipes that went out and just teed, and they connected them all in, so there were loops for safety, for fire and clean water and so forth. I guess to me, that's priority. Priority is your water system, your sewer system, your public safety. We don't want people falling down, getting hurt because of ice forming, water backups, that sort of thing. After that, you know, you have to prioritize high priority things and move down the line, I guess. But I think what I'm saying to you tonight is that I'm not in a hurry to spend the money. I'm not in a hurry to do anything. However, these projects don't start by themselves. You have to start by getting the engineering work done, and as soon as the weather is fit, you need to start moving dirt. You can change projects, you can add or subtract from projects. These things are always fluid. They're always in process, but you've got to start somewhere. And we've got, looking forward, we've got part of April, May, June, July, August, September. And by then we need to be wrapping up anything that we're doing that involves, you know, right. So we've only got 5.5, 6 months to get these kinds of things done. And it involves getting people and making sure you have the right equipment, I know it takes Shane 6 weeks or so to get a drop box for a drainage project. I mean, those things all take a bit of time. So if you wait till May to get started, you probably won't move any dirt until probably late June, and we'll have lost a couple of months. Mike?
You know, everybody talks about the TIF and stuff, but the last couple of projects that we've done on the TIF, which was Musselman addition out there, that drainage, we addressed that. And then that line we just put in coming down Jefferson for that library drainage pond and stuff. I can guarantee you, if this those projects hadn't been done, we'd had about 50 phone calls from the east end with flooded basements. Right now Jefferson Street would be underwater out by the trailer court. I mean, those projects have actually, there's no water, because I drove by the other day and checked them. There's no water stand on Jefferson, haven't had anybody call me from the east end. So if you wonder what happens with your TIF, you know, some of these people say, well, it doesn't do anything. You know, right there are two examples of where your TIF has done exactly what you wanted it to do. You know, it solved those people's problems and it's kept the water off of Jefferson Street. So
That's a good thing, so that. Well, a lot of people say, you know, use it for this, use it for that. I've heard the remark, we should use it for police. We can't. But here's the downside. The city of Toulon cannot afford a police department. Because we've always spent our money on streets and sidewalks, and we haven't done streets or sidewalks for 20 years. So how do we afford a police department? Well, we have to take from Peter to pay Paul when we do this. TIF gives you the chance to do some of the things that we've done for the last 100 years anyway, having done them from general revenue, because now we don't have the general revenue to do the things that we always did before. Some of us in the room are old enough to remember when we used to tear up streets every few years and add oil to them and rebuild our streets every 5 to 8 years. We haven't done that for 20 or more. And we did that from general revenue. And now we don't have the money in general revenue. So the only place to do these kinds of projects would be from, at this point, I guess. Because our budget, I've been asked by a couple of city employees, can we have a budget? Well, your budget is your payroll. Because when you look at the city audit and you look at the payrolls and you look at the electric bill and the gasoline bill, that's pretty much about 95% of your budget right there. So we don't have money right now to spend on streets and parks and sidewalks, and TIF is the only place that money can come from.
Okay, you say that some of those projects were in the original?
Yes, Tom.
Okay, so where do we get those from?
The original,
TIF
I'll-
grant.
I'll make a copy of it and make sure that everyone is given it.
Okay.
We've got it. Shane's got it. You can show it to you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's right.
Yeah, no, but this is not.
I can print them off for everybody if they want one.
Yeah, I think,
we should.
I think you should have another tip meeting personally.
That doesn't break it out to be specific.
No, I mean, I got a 42 lot residential subdivision, I got a 40 lot residential subdivision, I got a commercial retail general merchandise outlet, I got a commercial retail establishment.
This is all part of the $19.6 million, which was projected to be raised by TIF. But, Donna, the point is that none of, all of those projects are TIF eligible.
Right.
Anything you see is eligible for money, even though the amounts may be way
Oh,
off
yeah, no.
reality. So you can spend up to the amount that's listed in that plan.
But I think if you're gonna, gonna change, I think you need to have another TIF meeting with their priorities, what they think, even if it's not prioritized, even if it's just what needs to be done, or what they think needs to be done. I think you're gonna have something like that in order to figure out where you're gonna go.
What's the feeling of council? You want to schedule a TIF meeting early April or late March, or how would you like to do that? I mean, we've kind of been down this before. We've had several TIF meetings, and usually we end up right back here at council. Because we don't get any attendance at the TIF meeting, no one ever shows up. And what we'd like to have is a howling mob out here demanding their share of the money. Usually that's, kind of gets people moving a little bit. You know, when the citizens are involved and the citizens, say what it is they want, that's great.
Well, if they don't show, that's, I mean, if we publish the fact that we're having a TIF meeting to discuss things, if they don't show, it's sort of like your attendance in this afternoon. And the meetings don't show, well, you'll probably get complaints, but, since we don't have a TIF committee, I guess that's
This is it.